LeBron James' recent comments about being the king of New York after defeating the Knicks 104-101, people are asking themselves, could LeBron James ever see himself, or could they see LeBron James playing in New York? In the interview earlier before the game, LeBron James said the league is historically better when the Lakers, the Knicks, and the Celtics are historically great teams. Now, right now, the NBA is in one of the best time frames it has ever been. Its popularity is through the roof. Fantasy basketball, super teams, great players, greatest shooters we've ever seen, some of the greatest athletes we've ever seen. Basketball, in terms of popularity, is in a great standpoint. So, what does LeBron James truly mean when he says his statements? And that's the thing that kind of bothers me with LeBron James. He's trying to be a little cryptic, but at the same time, he's forcing himself in a predicament where, he's letting people read between the lines, and it's not good, because at the end of the day, if the league is historically better when the Knicks, Celtics, and Lakers are great, how come you never try to create a super team on those teams? And that kind of goes with the whole thing where his statements were basically disingenuous. He doesn't really believe that statement, because if it were true, he would try to make his way there. Even right now, with the whole free agency market, everything going on right now, that's going to happen next year. LeBron James may not stay in Cleveland, he might not, but the simple fact that he keeps playing these little games, tweeting Liangelo Ball and his agent reaching out to the Lakers organization and stuff like that. Those little mind games, LeBron James is very perceptive. He knows how that's going to look in the media. And, he never made it clear cut that, hey, I want to play in New York or for the Boston or for the Los Angeles Lakers. When LeBron James had the ability to go to the New York Knicks, this is when he did the whole press conference in Greenwich, Connecticut. I live in Connecticut. Everybody was saying that, look, LeBron James damn sure is going to New York because he could find a house in Greenwich. He could drive to the games. It's easy, 1, 2, 3. Everything is good to go, stuff like that. Everybody was saying, that's a wrap. He's going to go to New York. A lot of people figured he was going to go to New York. He didn't go. So what happened from then to now to make you think the league is better when the Knicks, Lakers, and Celtics are great? It's just basically he's just talking. He's just spewing stuff. He's just talking. He's not a Lakers fan or nothing like that. And what's crazy, the fact that I could never see LeBron James in New York. LeBron James, right now, people consider him like a top 5 player. Some people consider him like the second best player to ever live. He's a top 10, top 5 talent, period. If he were to come into New York, he would already be considered the best New York Knicks to ever play the game of basketball. If LeBron James were to ever win a championship in New York, they might just erect a statue for him, number one. Number two, people would put him over to Jordan. They would automatically put him over to Jordan. But here's the problem with New York. This is why I can't see him playing in New York. Number one, it's cold, just like Cleveland, but sometimes worse. And when I say cold, I mean cold in the fact that not only weather-wise, fan-wise, Cleveland fans, they're loyal to a fault. Like whatever LeBron does, they'll eat it. They'll take it on the chin. They'll do whatever. They'll do whatever LeBron asks. They'll run through fire barefoot if LeBron were to ask. When LeBron left, they burned his jersey, came back, received him with open arms. There was no kind of they didn't give him backlash when he came back. They embraced him. New Yorkers aren't like that. New Yorkers feel like they know more basketball than most people, including NBA players. New York people in New York, period. If you're from New York, play basketball in New York, period. You feel like when you could have made the league. That's how real it is. Because they've seen Bernard King, they've seen Walt Clyde Frazier, they've seen Willis Reed, and those are the names that they will spew out at LeBron James. So LeBron came to New York and did not win a championship. Let's say he goes to the finals or goes to Eastern Conference Finals, loses. They'll immediately throw Willis Reed in his face. They'll throw Bernard King. Even though LeBron James is better than those players, people would throw that in his face. He can never go to New York. The scrutiny is way too high. The media market is ridiculous. And just everything he would do would be in the public eye. Like, even before the Knicks game, everything he said and did went in the newspaper, and they used that as fuel for the game. So if LeBron would have been doing some of the stuff he's doing in Cleveland, undermining the coach, disrespecting teammates, cryptically talking about teammates. Hell yeah, he talked about Kyrie Irving too. He said, he said something about Isaiah Thomas. He's like, this is the first time he'll be getting a player in a long time that can score the ball and facilitate. Basically taking a dig at Kyrie Irving. If he were to do that in New York, Michael K to Mike and Mike in the Morning to every New York media outlet, point blank period, would take the story, run with it, and create a whole lot of distractions, a whole lot of discord. LeBron's in Cleveland. Basically, I would say in the middle, I'm not going to say in the middle of nowhere, but he's from Cleveland. And Cleveland doesn't even have like a massive media market. And you see what happens there. Imagine if he came to New York. If you threw stuff in the trash, like if he throws an old pair of sneakers, LeBron James, he's no longer going to stay. He threw out a pair of his Nikes. These are the same Nikes that he wore when he said he did it. Anything he would have did, if he takes off his jersey, untucks his jersey, that would have been a problem in New York. Don LaGreca, Michael K, all those guys in the media, they would eat everything up that LeBron does. And LeBron James can thrive in discord, but that kind of scrutiny in New York is above all else. That's why he's never went to the Boston Celtics. That's why he's never went to the Los Angeles Lakers. That's why he's never went to the New York Knicks. Even though the New York Knicks are historically a bad team, recent wise, they've had great players. They've had exceptionally great teams. So when LeBron is stepping into, it's not like small shoes to fill. You see what I'm saying? Like, if he were to go to LA, if he loses or whatever, they're automatically compared. Kobe wouldn't lose. Shaq wouldn't lose. Will Chamberlain, it's just too much scrutiny. And that's why I can't see him in New York. Because the minute something goes wrong, New York fans will get on their beat, the New York bullshit, and then let everybody know, like Willis Reed, Walt Frazier, they ain't having it. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that LeBron shouldn't even be playing around. He shouldn't even be saying anything about New York, trolling New Yorkers, talking about he's the king of New York. Now people are like, oh, could LeBron really be the king of New York? Only one king of New York, and that's Frank White. And that was in a movie. I'm not even talking about Biggie, you know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, Biggie Smalls. But that's, I'm talking about the real Frank White from the movie. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? King of New York, the movie. Go watch it. Only one king of New York, and you saw how that ended up for him. And that's probably what ended up for LeBron, because he comes to New York, it's too high, and the organization is not properly run in order for him to win where he wants to win. Boston Celtics on a 13-game win streak. They're killing it. They won games to 2-0 without Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving came out with the clear mask, letting everybody know he didn't wear a black mask, because if he wore a black mask, he would not be passing the basketball. So, that was great to see, great to watch him. That was great to watch Kyrie do his thing. Had 25 against the Brooklyn Nets. And people are automatically saying that the Boston Celtics could challenge the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, as bad as the Cleveland Cavaliers are, just for the sheer fact that they have depth, and the Boston Celtics do not have Gordon Hayward, I think Cleveland would edge them out. If we're talking today, then the Boston Celtics could possibly beat the Cleveland Cavaliers or take them to 7 games. It'll be an interesting series. But when we're talking about in terms of matchups, rest between games, playoffs, Cleveland still has LeBron James. Nobody can match up with LeBron James. The same way nobody could match up with Kyrie on the Cleveland Cavaliers, nobody could match up with LeBron. Like, that's, only thing that I believe the Celtics could do to possibly beat the Cavs is if they simply turn the Cavs into a jump shooting team and try to keep LeBron James out of the paint. Like, just wall him off and stick to Kyle Korver and force Dwayne Wade to make threes or stuff like that. But even then, Cavs still have a couple extra shooters: Channing Frye, Kyle Korver, and J.R. Smith. So you got to pick your poison with all that. That being said, the Celtics, what I love about them, and a lot of people don't really give them credit, you lost Gordon Hayward. They lost Al Horford to a concussion for like a game or two. They're still able to win games, even games that were down by 20. And Brad Stevens has to get a boatload of the credit. It's like plug and play with him. He doesn't care who he has on his roster. He wants to teach them how to play the right way. And the right way means playing defense. The number one in defensive efficiency. Everybody said Kyrie Irving couldn't defend. Kyrie Irving is second in defensive efficiency out of all the players in the NBA. So Brad Stevens has the team buying into defense. And when the team is able to buy into defense, then what happens is their defense fuels their offense. And a lot of guys that don't get numbers called for them, they don't get plays run for them, now guess what happens? They're playing a lot of defense, offensive end, it gives them a little bit more energy. Sometimes it's the other way around where, offense fuels the defense. But if you have a great defense, that can fuel your offense. Turnovers, fast break points. And the Boston Celtics have been getting a lot of fast break points. And what's really nice about that is you can see Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they're coming into their own because they're defensively, they're solid. They're getting taught the right defensive techniques, correct hand of the passing lane, et cetera, et cetera. Then you have a guy like Kyrie Irving who opens up the floor because he's so elusive with the basketball. He could dish a few assists and stuff like that. And, some people are like capping on Kyrie. They're saying like he's not a real facilitator. Boogie Cousins is averaging more assists than he is and stuff like that. Like, dude, are you really serious right now? Like, do you really think like Boogie Cousins is still gonna average more assists towards the end of the year than Kyrie Irving? I'm just asking you that question. It's sort of like with the Cavs. It's like they were under 500. They just got back to 500. Do you think they were gonna stay under 500 the entire season? Like, it's the first 14 games. Don't overreact. 15 games. Don't overreact to what's going on. But when people are still down on Kyrie as like a playmaker, facilitator, like, have you been watching any of these games? People saying like he's shooting a lesser percentage. Yes, it's a new system. It's a new team. It's not like he's still playing with LeBron James. He still, once a guy gets a level of comfort, then those things come, a higher percentage shooting. He understands his spots. He understands his teammates. People do not want to give Kyrie Irving or Brad Stevens credit for going 13-2. They just think like, okay, you're invigorated. This is not gonna last or whatever. It's just like, why can't Kyrie Irving get any credit for the way that he's been playing? Period. I know his shooting is not up to par or whatever the case is, but he's taking more responsibility, and he's taking more responsibility for winning as opposed to when he was in Cleveland. When they won games, everything was like, oh, LeBron did it all. Kyrie Irving didn't do anything. Even the Christmas Day game, they're like, oh, LeBron setting this up, and people forget Kyrie Irving is the one that hit the game-winning shot against the Golden State Warriors Christmas Day. NBA Finals, people forget Kyrie Irving hit the biggest clutch shot, and he was unstoppable. Like, third quarter of the Game 7 NBA Finals, the Cavs were down like 8 or 9. Kyrie Irving went on like a 10-0 run by himself. He doesn't go on that 10-0 run. You lose that game 7 by 20. So I don't want to hear all this stuff like he's not good, he's not a key cog. Like, give the guy some kind of credit. Chop down his numbers all you want. Number one number that matters with a team is W's. How many W's they got? 13. They got the most in the NBA. Liangelo Ball just got released from the Chinese authorities. He was sent back, LAX, I believe it was last night. And, Liangelo Ball basically got caught stealing. He got caught stealing from 3 high-end department stores, Louis, Ferragamo, and another one, I don't remember. And people are asking, what should you do with it? Should you expel him? Should you suspend him? What is it that you should do in order to rectify the situation? Donald Trump, this is crazy. I've never seen this before. And I think Trump supporters are going to say, Trump likes black people. He actually called China to get that young man to come back home. You know what I'm saying? But Donald Trump called to get Liangelo Ball out of trouble. He pulled a favor, pulled some strings. They probably sent one person back, that we got from Chinese authorities or whatever on the low. Not going to let people know, but what should be done with Liangelo Ball? And this is a tough quandary. At the very least, he should be suspended games or a couple games or the season or whatever the case is. There should be a suspension because guys need to understand that there's consequences for your actions. Now, growing up, I grew up in an era where you get consequences for your actions. You touch something your parents tell you not to touch, you get a whooping. You do something your grandma told you not to do, you get slapped or you get put in timeout. Every parent back in the day had different forms of discipline. Today, what we're seeing is when you have money, there are no forms of discipline. And you could even take it back to the past where, there's been crazy trials where guys had money, they threw it at the case, kept throwing money at the case, and eventually it went away or they got off. But even though they got off, they still paid those social consequences where nobody wanted to do business with them. Or O.J. Simpson's a big one, where people actually set him up after the fact, like 10, 12 years after the fact, or 20 years after the fact. They set him up for something just to get him back for what he did or got off for what they think he got off for back in the day. Liangelo Ball has to experience some kind of consequences. Now, the UCLA, it's up to them. Like, are you living those wooden principles, those big principles? How he's raised people up to be a man. So, are you gonna put on your big boy pants and suspend him or expel him? I think you could expel him because you almost created like an international incident. If he got expelled, I wouldn't be mad. I'm not calling for his expulsion, but it is what it is, man. Sometimes you have to be wise in what you're doing. You can't go to another country and try to steal from high-end stores when your brother's in the NBA. You guys are riding around on Lamborghinis, Maseratis, etc. Sell your Maserati and buy you some glasses or whatever. So I don't know if it's like the thrill of stealing, like the whole Winona Ryder situation where she was stealing, shoplifting and stuff like that. And you got all this acting money. Like, what are you doing? Some people just steal for the fun of it, for the hell of it, for the thrill of it. I don't know if it's that, but he has to be taught a lesson. Hey, maybe his dad gave him a whooping. I don't know. That probably wouldn't work, but it's just he has to experience some kind of consequences. Either you suspend him a couple games, you could expel him, but I don't think that's really gonna do much. I mean, it could hurt him for the draft, but I mean, the way that the big baller brand is set up is not based on like for example, his brother, they didn't go to the NCAA finals or nothing like that. His brother just had good numbers. So they know Liangelo could put up good numbers. He's going to get drafted either way. So he has to pay some kind of price. Now, I can't be the judge, jury, and executioner. But something has to come down where he understands, not only do you put the team, your team, the UCLA team in danger and jeopardy, you put your teammates, you put the reputation of the entire school, and you put the reputation of the United States of America because, outside of America, we're not viewed in the greatest light. So when you go to another country, you're stealing. They're like, they're putting a label on for the future Americans going forward. Like, hey, these guys, when these Americans come, it doesn't matter if they have money, they're gonna steal from you. And that's the thing. You have money. You grew up like in the burbs. So why are you stealing? And that's just kind of like the thing. Like certain guys, like Josh Gordon was like he was kept smoking like crazy. Got kicked out of the league for an entire year. It's just like you have all this money. Like certain things. Why are you doing? Why are you reverting back to your old self? Liangelo has become the big baller brand and become himself because he cut off a lot of stuff that he used to do. He practiced a lot more, played a lot more. He became something else, higher than what he used to be, in high school and stuff like that. And it's just like, why are you doing this now? Like, why are you putting everything that you worked so hard for in jeopardy now? And only he could answer that. But now UCLA has to answer back and rapidly. They have to rapidly come up with a solution to everything that happened. They have to either cut ties with him and 100% expel him, or they could sit him the rest of the league, the rest of the year. Don't play him. It's a punishment. I think it's best when the schools punish the players first before the NCAA does, because the NCAA actually could revoke Liangelo Ball scholarship or whatever he's on, and they could kick him out of the school. So it's best that the UCLA, they hurry up and do whatever they got to do to rectify the situation, because you don't want the NCAA doesn't play that crap, man. And if those other players, they're going up and they're stealing, like, why would you go stealing with a guy that has money? Why don't you just rob that guy? This is Vlad from Hoops Junction with Hoops Meets Hoopla. Peace.